Good afternoon, people. Welcome back to the channel. We are waiting for Anil Kandola. Unfortunately, he's running a little bit late, but he's promised he's coming as soon as possible. Until then, we have a lot of things to discuss about. It's match day, people. We're playing Chelsea. We're going to talk about Chelsea. We're going to talk about what is the latest with the takeover, what is real, what is media agenda. I haven't spoken to Anil for a long time. On the other hand, he's been having interviews with Ben Jacobs, having his ears on the ground. And this is us getting together because reports are coming to say imminent, happening this week, next year. Nobody really knows. So let's put our heads together. And until then, until Anil comes in, please like and subscribe to the video. If you haven't, give us a thumbs up and we shall see you very, very soon. Glory, glory, Manchester United.
Let's get ready to rumble! Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world
on Mufc Realist TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
And we are Manchester United, and we will never stop. You know that words, people. How you doing today? Match day. How you feeling? Let me know in the comments section below. As mentioned, we are waiting for Anil Kandola. He's running late. We do apologize, but the show must go on and we need to start on time. So listen, big up to all of you. I'm going to read out the chat. Whoever comes into this chat room today, for some people, it's lunchtime. Let me know what you're having for lunch. It's 12 o'clock UK time. For me, what I'm sitting right now, it's a 7 o'clock Thailand time. Mick, what are you doing in Thailand? Good question. I'm here to work, 100%. Big up to you, and let go with Gray. People emailing saying that chat subscribers only let them subscribe if they haven't subscribed. Yes, Gray, that's a good point, because it was initially set for you have to subscribe to chat for 1 minute, a time limit, but that's been changed. So everyone can chat, but subscribe should be a prerequisite if you come to view our channel. It's free. You can also smash that like button, and also don't forget to hit that notification button. Anyway, so big up to you. I see Jamie Wynn, one of our moderators, is here. Ashid Miad is here as well to say sorry to hear. Yeah, I heard about Jamie Wynn, about your circumstances with your family. My condolences. Angie, one of our lovely, lovely moderators, is here in the house as well, saying Glazers out now, full sail only. Jim Ratcliffe out, Ineos out. None of your rats are wanted or needed in this club. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it because in this show, we don't really create the news. We only report on the news. We analyze what the media is saying, and what we tend to do is, look at two sides of the story, like trying to keep a balance, right? So we report on what's going on with Sheik Jassim, what's going on with Ratcliffe, what is plausible, what's not plausible, how much is it a media agenda driven. But anyway, we're going to find out as soon as Anil, because we got a lot of things to talk about, so some people believe that Qatar might have pulled out, but is it so? Has it been an official statement from Qatar itself? Not really, not really. Anyway, there's a lot of things, because Sky News is also reporting to, Mark Clattenburg has been leading this, to say that Manchester United and Ratcliffe confirms stake next week. And we heard this story, it's been 3-4 weeks now. Matt Clattenburg has been saying Monday, Tuesday, Friday, next week, next year, Christmas, XYZ. And this is pretty much driven from Ineos Sports to hope to announce a $33 per share, 25% as early as next week. But the first and foremost, what I have a problem with this is, barring that is the NDA signed, barring that, nobody really knows what the premium buyout is, 33. So I do respect Mark Kleinman, 100% I do. Brilliant journalist. But at the end of the day, there was even reports to say that on this Monday that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and David Brailsford would start the jobs. Schools out for the summer, the kids are coming back. But nothing happened there as well. Now, in hindsight, from a real business perspective, you need to sort of announce it to New York Stock Exchange. You need to have board approval. You need to pass the Premier League fitness and proper test, and a lot of those things. So for me, it's been a lot of media agenda, and fair enough. They have to make a living. They have to do publications and make a lot of clicks out of it. So, and that's kind of a little bit of a balance in Neons, what we can provide anyway. Who won? Nobody really knows who won, Mark. Nobody really knows at the end of the day. It's been, according to my opinion, ever since this takeover started, it's been reported like a transfer market, like it's an F1 Grand Prix race. All of a sudden somebody has the pole position, or the one, like it's a spurt, it's a race, who's winning, who's that winning. And at the end of the day, that's just not the way it works. Sales takeovers do take up to 9-12 months, even to 2 years. So this is normal procedure. We saw that Ratcliffe, was dead out of the water, and all of a sudden he came back with 25% restructuring. And that for me was to get his foot into the door. But the most sensible thing is to say that everyone is kind of waiting for that end of the financial review to get feedback, because all the bidders has been on the table, everything's been reviewed, all the stones has been flipped. From a business world and financial world, that's what the normal practice would be, right? That you sort of look at, all the bids, and you ask good questions back and forwards to the bidders. And at the end of the day, they're waiting for the feedback. So in the meantime, they all feel confident. And of course, every single camp has a PR team that is kind of, I don't know how the getting the information out, but there's a certain level of individuals that has signed the NDAs that only speaks within that group. The rest for me is just speculations, and that's my analysis, and that's my take on it. This has been the spin of the whole 1 year in the making, and I get that a lot of people are very tired. I'm super tired of it. It just makes me vomit to even sit here and talk, but we have to provide a voice of reasoning on this platform, and we've been doing so for the past year. We've been educating you people, having Swedish Rumble here, Phil Brown. We've been having Paul White. We've been having financial experts here in XYZ, just to make sense out of the whole thing. As a fans, we have the right to scrutinize each bidder, because at the end of the day, what we have been protesting for is to get the Glazers out as far as they can out of this club. 18 years has been far too enough. Now, I can understand that some people are sort of getting complacent to say, well, if you get 25%, yeah, that's not bad enough. That means that we're getting a sporting director, we're getting new CEO, but is that enough, right? A rebuild takes years to do. Just remind yourself that we played Newcastle 2 days ago, approximately 3 days ago. And Newcastle, by the way, 2 years ago was hovering around relegation. But ever since they've been taken over, they created a sporting vision. They backed the manager and slowly, organically been building this. And look where they're sitting right now. Manchester United, according to my opinion, are playing catch up. We've been stuck in quicksand for the past 10 years, while others has been surpassing us. Right. So a change is desperately needed. And even if it's a Ineos or Sir Jim Ratcliffe with a 25%, we want to know what is the roadmap for a 100% full sales takeover. Me, I've always been Glazers out full sale only 100%, because that's who I am. I've been protesting for far too long, and I'm not going to give up. But I want to see the roadmap. I've seen a little bit of the manifesto to say that put Manchester back into Manchester United. And that makes me a little bit worried. Of course, Manchester United is the biggest club in the world and generates a lot of money by itself on its commercial revenues. We don't need a sugar daddy. We just need somebody to plug the holes what the Glazers been taking. It's been like a Swiss cheese. They've been using the club like an ATM and taking our commercial revenues for their own personal leisures, and taking dividends and taking credit cards, loans for the transfer market. We simply need somebody to clear the debt, and will Ineos do that? Debt is something that we have PTSD over, and debt is something that we don't want. So there's a lot of clarity that needs to be put on the table for at least for me to be convinced, and also a roadmap ahead, like for a full sales takeover by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, according to my opinion. But at the end of the day, whatever you believe, what is your opinion, that is your truth and what matters. What we try to do on this channel is to provide a little bit of a balance and nuance to say, hey, is this real? I mean, who is benefiting from publishing these stories? Because at the end of the day, we as the fans are the ones that are suffering, right? Mental health is, it's a serious issue. A lot of people suffering from this mental health. And I've seen a lot of people staying away, like I cannot support this club. And based on the poor performance that we're seeing on the pitch, and Ten Hag out, and all the allegations, scandals, Mason Greenwood, it's been a lot of heavy stuff to carry on one man's shoulder. Even I at one point was saying I'm not wanted to record anymore. I just don't want to see this after Saturday's result. But of course, I always say that never let your fear and emotions clog your judgment. But after that loss and after that capitulation, after players giving up, I sure hope that we will see a bounce back today. I just got a message now from Anil Kandola. He apologized. He's running 2 minutes late, so he will be on. Until then, people, Jeff Buzz, I've been ranting on here. What did you say? We could but dream. Yep. Big up to you, Jeff Buzz, as well. What are you saying here? Joe Doe, good afternoon, lads. Good afternoon to you, Joe, as well. Good afternoon. And Rama, what you saying here as well? The only channel that still believes in Qatar and Ten Hag and Santa Claus. No, Rama, I don't believe. You got to believe that you got to keep in mind open, right? So far, it's been headlines, and have they been delivered like on the headlines? When you see Fabrizio Romano, who's a, transfer market expert, going like, here we go, here with this, here with that, I trust the finances. I follow the money, and that's always been my way of thinking. And as I said earlier as well, we have to scrutinize every single bid, even if it's 25 or 100. We have to apply the same energy. But big up, Ramo, and that's your opinion. Jeff Steele, big up from all the way from Australia. What are you saying? Hello, everyone, especially Angie, who gifted 20 memberships yesterday. Big up, Angie, for gifting memberships as well. Compost Murphy saying whoever comes in has a bloody mess to fix. And that's the problem, right? We desperately, as a club, need a makeover. We've been run as a business. Even if you look at the financial statements, they said Manchester United PLC is a business, but it's never a sporting club. We desperately need to revert back to be a sporting club. Just look at what Brighton is doing. Just look at what Arsenal is doing, what Spurs is doing. Everyone is surpassed us. And I'm afraid if we don't do anything right now, after Christmas or before Christmas or whenever this is going to happen, we're going to just capitulate. Financially, we are in a mess. Glazers need to sell. Everyone knows it. Everyone that's seen the financial reports. The Buccaneers are in trouble. And that's what it is. But at the end of the day, who am I to talk when I have my lovely, lovely colleague, Anil Kandola? Anil, good afternoon, sir.
Hello to obviously yourself, my friend, and everyone in the stream. I just want to apologise. I am running a bit late today. It's just been one of them mornings, as you know, Mick. Even though it is midday for us, this is still quite early, isn't it?
Anil, don't worry. Don't worry. Anil, red card, sin bin. Or
sin
maybe
bin.
it's an orange card. Orange card, 10
sin
minutes.
Bin, the first sin bin that's been given in the world of football. But I'm really glad to be back. It's been a while since we've sat down, Mick, and it's a really strange time, isn't it, for Manchester United fans? I don't think I can really sort of point anyone in the right direction when it comes to having a bit of positivity. But look, I'm sure we'll dissect a lot of what's going on, and ultimately, really, have we got any hope as Manchester United fans? Oh, I don't know, Mick. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for
it's so good to have you back too.
And yeah, let's get stuck in.
We've been destined to do this for quite a while. We're so busy. I moved to Thailand and we're supposed to do this on Tuesdays, and you're busy, and but it's been a hot minute. Last time I spoke to you, we spoke about the takeover, we spoke about the transfer market, and of course, on that note, you've been speaking to a lot of people and you've been having your ears on the ground. And, at the end of the day, I want to understand, make it make sense to me, because, I'm a person that applies logic and reasoning to everything that I do. And so far, this doesn't make any sense. For me, I don't know, maybe if I'm wrong, but you had Ben Jacobs on the other day on Mufc BP as well. Do you mind if I play a little bit of that clip, mate?
No, carry on. As long as I don't look too ugly in it, Mick, then yeah.
You forgot your makeup there. You missed the spot there too, like eyelashes.
Yeah, just do that.
Okay, let's play a little bit small clip. MUFCBP apologizing. Don't do us for copywriting. This is for educational purpose only. And Anil is sitting here too, so we have his blessings, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Let's go.
Talk to me. Why is this Ratcliffe deal taking so long, and when can we expect an official announcement?
Well, I'm sure from a fan perspective, there is that feeling that it's taking too long. I think that's also down to the fact that throughout this process, the vast majority of Manchester United fans have wanted the Glazers out, and therefore a full sale, or at least a sale of the 69% of the Glazers shares. So when something takes place so publicly, and it is also very complicated from a negotiation, a legal and a logistical standpoint, I think it's very normal that a time-consuming process would be the end result, with some shifting deadlines as well. So on the one hand, yes, there was a hope, even at one point an expectation that we would get an announcement during the international break and before Thanksgiving. That's now shifted to, at the time of recording, early next week. And
so this is where I want to stop, because I've been analyzing what I've been saying, and big up to Ben Jacobs as well. He's been quite educational and stuff like that. But yeah, from a legal standpoint, this is a multi-billion-dollar deal, and I agree. I mean, that this is something that it's not transfer window. It takes 9 to 12 months to 2 years, and there's been some complications. But what did you take from his first opening statements here?
Yeah, it's It's a very strange sort of time, as I've said to you, Mick, many times, not just on your channel, not just on Twitter, but also on WhatsApp, you know, when we talk about these kinds of things. I think there's two sides and two elements really to this kind of stuff. So the first thing I would say is that when it comes to journalists, when it comes to people with information, a lot of people like to really, as we both know, Mick, they really like to sort of stamp you down on things that you say, and then also at the end of it, if it doesn't come true, or at the end of it, it changes, the story changes in whatever way, then ultimately people will start to really go for that journalist and say, okay, well, you were wrong, or you've got wrong information. But as we both know, Mick, a lot of stories change, information is passed down to journalists, and they work with what they've got. And we've done the same things with Qatar. And of course, we got information. I'll still stand by the information until the day I die when it came to Qatar, because they are from some of my most trusted sources that have provided me information, which have, of course, been really successful for me previously.
Yeah.
So there's always that side. But then on the other hand, and I said this to you last night, didn't I, Mick, that if this was Qatar in this situation, if it was Qatar the only name that was going for Manchester United in the same way Sir Jim Ratcliffe would be, and there were these constant delays without really any specific explanation as to why there've been so many delays, I think a lot of people would have things to say. They would say, well, Qatar aren't coming in, they're not doing this because of this, and there would be a whole world of excuses or reasoning as to why this is being delayed so much. So it is quite interesting, isn't it, to really see that there's no worry that's being expressed or desired from anyone when it comes to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. People are saying that he's the only one in the race and it's only a matter of time. I'm still under the impression that it's going to happen if I was a betting man, but there are some things that really
doesn't add up.
That really do leave me with a few questions, Mick, because as I say, you know, if this was Qatar in this situation, a lot of people would be saying, well, it's not happening, all these in the nose and all of this kind of stuff. That's what you would get, right? So I would like a little bit of consistency, as I've been calling for pretty much since day one. I think the coverage of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bids, of course, it would be a lot more interest when it comes from the British media, because of course he's a British billionaire, he's a Manchester United
exactly
fan.
what I'm thinking.
It all fits in very nicely, doesn't it? When obviously,
but also when you take, if you just pause and hold your coffee or tea there, it also fits into the weekend. Like, you know, you have Martial putting a stinky performance, but he doesn't get slated. Instead, what you see, Graham Souness is going in on Anthony Martial instead, right? So that's the same kind of analogy, that you will protect your own because he's one of ours and stuff like that. But fair point. You make a valid point, because we're going to continue on that clip, you know. And I would say that delay has come to, according to my opinion, Ineos is the one that's been the bottleneck, like from originally going from 69% to restructuring, being challenging by the, you know, Class A shareholders, Ineos, you know, those Lindsay Train, Boeing Group, and, you know, Arias and stuff like that, to then work it down to 51%, and now to put a 25%. And we remember that we had the end of the year strategical review, like, you know, the financial review. This was just in time to get the foot into the door, right? So my take on it from a business perspective, for being in the industry, from working with mergers and acquisition, change management, is that when you have a strategic review, when you have certain bidders and tenders out, at the end of the day, what will happen is that there's been a lot of questions going backwards and forwards. There's been a lot of due diligence checklists. You know, you're coming to the end of, you know, the, what do you call it, the earn-out clauses, you know, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, of course, if there's two bidders still in the race, both feel confident. But one might be, say, I don't need PR, and my bid has been there on the table, and that's it. Well, the other one's been given the chance to actually work the 25%, which is far more complicated. And I want to continue on the Ben Jacobs, what he's saying as well, because he's saying something that I also liked.
Mark Kleinman at Sky broke that story. I have been able to confirm that early next week is the new timeline for an announcement.
So where's Kleinman getting the information from if there's NDA signs? That's what I'm wondering. Like, you know, is it coming from Rain Group? I doubt it. Is it coming from Ineos camp? Most likely. Is it coming from somebody within high up in Manchester United that signed an NDA? In that case, that's dangerous. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, it's. Do you know what, Mick? It's really difficult, isn't it, to sort of maneuver yourself when it comes to this kind of stuff. But the one common theme, really, amongst the most established journalists in the country is that it's a matter of when and not if when it comes to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which, you know, it almost makes me think to myself, if this, as again, I don't want to keep going back to it, but if this was Qatar, would so many people or journalists be putting their hats firmly on this and really, you know, saying it's only a matter of time of when and if? There's obviously been rings of information that have been passed through to these senior journalists that obviously have led to them going, right, this is about as concrete as it's going to get. And I think a lot of it has really stemmed from people hearing and finding out Sir Jim Ratcliffe's potential plans. You know, he's been linked with several directors of football and a new CEO and stuff like that. And I think obviously this has been really fueled, for instance, by obviously John Murtough going. And I think even if the Glazers stayed 100%, there was no new individual or party coming into Manchester United, he was going to leave anyway. So I think things like that really fuel situations. It's something I honestly, Mick, and it's quite funny because we're on a live stream. We're obviously going to be talking about things. My job is essentially to talk about sport, but it really does come as a difficult situation for me to really explain what it is that just doesn't seem right about this. And there just doesn't seem to be something. I don't know, because Ben, I'm not sure if you're going to play the clip, and if you are, I apologize in advance, Mick, for stealing.
Yeah, I am. This is a small little left clip there as well.
Yeah, but later on he said, I forgot what I was going to mention now, but Mick. But Ben basically, he was under the influence, you know, that it's only going to be a matter of time kind of thing. And I understand that. And I think that's the general consensus, really, that it's going to be a matter of when. But the thing is that people also, this is what I was going to say. Sorry, I've finally remembered. Thank you. I've woken up clearly. That Ben said that that an announcement is not the same as confirmation. So, for instance, you know, let's take it down to things that, you know, you and I and people in the chat would understand more because they happen more often in terms of transfers. So, Man United, if they sign a player, they'll announce it before they actually sign the player officially and get everything done. So, an announcement, for example, Manchester United have agreed to sign Mick Ruby in principle on a 3-year contract.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
I'll take that.
Forget the YouTube. You're in the big.
Just
time
pay me 10 Snickers a week. I'll take it.
Your Snickers sponsorship, and then you're done, aren't you?
That's
but
it.
I think, no, look, jokes aside, that's what happened, and he was trying to make that clear to me as well. Yes, a couple of days ago when we spoke, was that even though people want change and people have their personal opinions, like you and I do on Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we want clarity in whatever direction Manchester United are going to be in. But then why has it not even been announced? That's what I don't understand. Is because look.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to know that this was going to be the outcome, and everyone knows that it's going to take a bit of time for him to really come into the club and start his work.
The thing is that, you know, you got to ask the hard questions, and that's what we do here. As I said, we don't create the news, we analyze the news, and then we put our logic hats and reasoning on and just scrutinize it, right? That's what we do, because at the end of the day, this is our beloved club, right? This is our future on stake, and we have the right to do so. And I always think critical, like, you know, okay, so why is it not being announced? Why is it so? And where's the information coming from? And who's benefiting? Who's feeding that? It's kind of similar to if you look at a transfer situation, transfer market, when you're dealing with agents and players, right? Who's benefiting? Like, you know, the agents is leaking to some journalist. It's a scratch. What do you call it? Catch-22. I scratch my back. You scratch my back. Yeah. You get to print the story. You get a source. From an editorial perspective, once you start with one story, you stick to that story. You don't never change. But of course, sometimes you have to do a 360 U-turn, not to get egg-faced, and then they say, "Oh, I clipped you. You said that." We've seen it all before, right? So they have to be smart. Now, this all started with Sky News. I mean, if you do the trails regarding this, there was actually Sky News that broke it first to say that, yeah, all of a sudden, Ineos is the one, and Qatar is out, right? Just plain and simple. And then followed up by Fabrizio Romano, and he's apparently called up Sheik Jassim 92 Holding Foundation, and they said, no, we cannot comment because of NDAs. And by the way, Fabrizio, we're out. Like, it doesn't really make sense. But all along, I've been following the news. I've been reading every single article, and they all co-tweet or co-report on the main source, which is Sky News, which is Kleinman, Mark Kleinman. And that seems to be the source at the moment. This is kind of like, and at the end of the day, what I'm saying, I've been keeping my powder dry to say, look, I understand how the bidding process works, but when they're coming out to say we're going to start on Monday, no, if it's going to be announcement, mate, it's going to go through the New York Stock Exchange first, and they're going to pass the directors of fitness checks, the Premier League. So it's not that advanced, in my opinion, though.
Yeah, sorry, Mick. I know I'm smiling as you're talking, but I was just reading the comments on this, and and Ivo's put in an absolutely brilliant comment here. I'm not sure if you can get it up, but it says,
"Oh, you got Mark producer in the background. Can you bring up which one was it?"
It was at 12:30, so 2 minutes ago, where Ivo said they'll announce next week that there's an announcement the following week. If that doesn't quite summarize everything that we're going through at the moment, I'm not sure anything will. And
Anil,
just put in a comment.
Anil, hang on a second. I got a special song for this one. It's the Benny Hill.
What, Mick, the production certainly improved since the last time I joined us, and I'll tell you what. But,
it's a little bit of a Benny Hill over it. Yeah.
I think honestly, it is just. Do you know what the thing is? I think, Mick, look, Man United fans over the last few years, certainly since Sir Alex Ferguson stepped down, have been so used to disappointment on the pitch, and they've been so used to being disappointed from the ownership and every manager realistically that's come into the club. And now the thing that Manchester United fans want is just a bit of clarity. And the fact that they cannot even get that. And look, Mick, I don't think I'm going to be saying anything controversial here on your behalf and mine, but it was clear.
You can speak your mind. This is a freedom of speech platform,
That's why it's one of the best around, Mick. But I think it's not going to be coming to a surprise to everyone in this stream now that know any of us even in the slightest. We were desperate for Qatar to come in. We were desperate for that to be the ownership of Manchester United because of what they provided, because of what they were going to do for Manchester United and what it would be in. But look, Manchester United, whether we like it or not, seem to be going in the Sir Jim Ratcliffe direction. And now, if that is the case, despite our personal opinions, we can put that to one side if it means Manchester United fans get some clarity. But the fact that Man United cannot even get a bit of clarity, I think it is amazing and almost quite funny in a situation that isn't that funny. The fact that we're almost starting to hear Sir Jim Ratcliffe's contingency plans regarding Erik ten Hag, about players that he might bring in and all of this kind of stuff. And he hasn't even been announced yet. And it just really frustrates me at the fact that people can get all of this information, but we can't even get a date sorted. It's beyond belief, isn't it, Mick? But unfortunately, when you support a club like Manchester United, cue the music, you better get used to the circus,
Yeah. Listen, what I want to do here, I want to continue and I want to finish off because I like to provide a little bit of balance and nuance to every discussion that you have.
And then after that, you've got the completion process as well. I would argue, having covered a number of takeovers throughout my career, that yes, it's public.
Is he a business journalist or sports journalist? I mean, this is what I question. I covered numerous of takeovers. I don't know. Ben, I talk to you later.
Yes, it's frustrating. And because it's public, people lock themselves to a prospective timeline. And if it alters, it feels like a delay. But what you have to understand is that this is an extremely complicated transaction, 100%. Maybe more so at 25% with debate and discussion around what control looks like in a sporting sense.
That's the question. Even when he says that, spot on when he says it's so complicated. Of course, the 100% was the clean money, the clean takeover. But what's confusing me and what's confusing Mark Kleinman as well is the 25% stake. He's been calculating different things and saying, well, 25% is going to go to buy the Class A, 25% to Glazers. And it's been conflicting reports, right? And this is what we want clarity over.
and also a path potentially to a majority. If you just buy outright, it's a clean transaction. That's why Sheikh Jassim said his transaction was clean. It was a cash deal. It was debt-free. It was 100% of the club. So from a logistical and legal point of view, that's cleaner. As soon as you start saying, I'm going to get into bed with the Glazers, I'm going to buy 25%, I'm going to discuss potentials, which we know from previous iterations of the deal, a put and call and a path towards either the 69% or 100% of the club, immediately you give yourself headaches. Immediately there's legal and logistical problems. So it is a massive sale, and you have meticulous decision makers in the form of the Glazers, and lawyers need to do their work. And the irony in all of
and that's it. It's all about lawyers doing the work at the moment. This is what's going on right now. It's adjustments here and there, back and forward, and that's what's being the delay. Especially if you've gone down from 69.51 to 25% to iron this out, to make it sense to every single bidder, like an buyer.
this, I've said it before and I'll say it again, is most takeovers take time, and that is around 9 months.
Yes.
And I think I said it the last time I came on this show, a takeover is like having a baby. It takes about 9 months. It can come a bit earlier, it can come a bit later, but standard is around 9 months to potentially, if we move away from the baby analogy, a year.
But it can even take up to 18 months or 2 years. Just look at Newcastle as well.
And as a result, if you only look at the timeline plus the complexity of the deal, it's not so much delays as normal negotiation and normal legal and logistical hurdles. But because it's taken not only longer than the fans want it to, but played out so publicly, that's why I can understand why many people feel like it's just delay after delay after delay. But I am told again this morning by sources, as I have been for about a month, that it is a matter of when, not if.
I think that will set.
No, that's it. That's what you said. It's a matter of when, not if, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And the thing is, Ben was also confident. He was reporting on Qatar 92 Holding Foundation, and now he's reporting on this. And, we all heard about my credible sources. And at the end of the day, Manchester United fans, we just say, we don't really care who your sources are. Just get it over the line. I know. What about this week, next week? But he put it quite clear that it's a very complicated multi-billion-dollar deal, right? And it goes through, lawyers got to speak to each other. On the other hand, you have the other camp too. So we got to play that story as well, my friend. But any sort of final words on that? Like, what's your personal thing? You sat there for 45 minutes. You were interviewing him.
Yeah. It's
respected.
Yeah, of course. And I think, do you know what? I think one thing really is that I think is key to say in all of this kind of situation. And of course, it's very difficult to put your emotion aside when it comes to the club that you love. I was listening to the show just before I came on, Mick, and you were obviously talking about mental health. You were talking about how important football clubs are to their football fans. And it's imperative really that we can really keep that in the forefront of our minds and understand that. But at the same time, journalists, especially ones like Ben Jacobs, they're not in this, in my personal opinion, not in this for clicks, for views, for clout. And Mick, you've got
he's not. No, he's been quite educational.
Yeah. Right? You've got a big following, Mick. You've come across many people and individuals that are just in this game for numbers and not wanting to make a platform like yourself, which is to allow discussion and conversation, which is so healthy and, as I say, imperative. But
not only that, it's just providing an educational voice of reason to make sense of what's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly that, Mick. And I look at it and I think, look, at the end of the day, Ben Jacobs and all of the other individuals out there, irrespective of what they're putting out there, are just relaying the information that they're being told and they're privy to. So
aggregating.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's very difficult to really come for the people that are giving the information to these journalists, because obviously rule one of journalism is that you don't reveal your sources, right? So I think, look, it's a very difficult situation, because a lot of people would now put their blame onto the journalists who are reporting things. And I can completely understand that, because I'm on both sides.
They're just doing the job. They're basically doing the job.
Exactly. We're on both sides of it, and we can really sort of understand what's going on because of all the information we were told with Qatar, and then how it's at the moment looking like when it comes to Qatar. So, things can change, and people start to blame because of emotion, because of what they've got in terms of invested interest. But I do think that there's just, and I'm sorry about this, Mick, because I'm struggling to explain why or where this feeling is coming from, but something just doesn't seem right. I'm not sure. I'm just not totally convinced that it's as simple and as straightforward as what's happening.
Do you like opera?
If we've learnt one thing, Mick, it never is the way it's being reported at the moment.
Can I be reckless?
It's your channel, mate.
you know opera, right?
Yeah.
I have a famous saying: "Ain't over to the fat lady sings."
Yeah.
True that.
No, yeah.
So, listen, I'm connected. I'm not talking about ketchup, mayonnaise, sauces, and stuff like that. I do have a professional network on LinkedIn, and everyone can check it out, what I'm doing for a living as well. Nothing to hide. But, I have from numerous people, influencers, journalists, has been confirmed the majority of their information of the sources coming from the ineos PR side and lawyers side, somebody's working with the intermediate market, right? And this is similar, when you work in the transfer industry, you get most of the informations from coaches, from scouts and stuff like that, agencies, and that's all it takes, because at the end of the day, I do understand this is the biggest scoop of the century. Manchester United is the biggest club in the world. As soon as you just attach yourself to the name at Manchester United, write something, how much engagement do you get out of it, right? That's the thing. Yeah. Even Manchester United as a club on the social media platform has admitted that, we like this kind of engagement because this is good for our brand, right? So it's a little bit of a catch-22 situation. But what is really the truth? Nobody really knows. That's the thing. I always say, and my old gaffer said in uni, when I went to, media journalists broadcasting high school or university, he said, always do two sides of a story and present it to the audience and let them decide. The truth is in the middle. All right. My personal feeling, some people say I smell a rat. That's okay for people to say. But I'm just saying, to be political, this doesn't add up. This does not make sense to me. I cannot, for the love of God, can put my finger on the pulse to say what it is, because it doesn't make sense. But on the other hand, we have super chats coming in here where we're not going to ignore you people. We have Jeff Steele to say with the $5 Australian. Big up Jeff Steele all the way from Adelaide, Australia. You don't know, I don't know, the press don't know, only Glazers know what's happening. And that is 100%. They know what's going on. And we know the Glazers don't talk. We know. So what you're saying here as well with Nigel Flynn, hi Mick and Anil, with Blanc coming in as CEO, Ashton and also Glazer. We talk about Neil Ashton, the PR guy. You know Neil Ashton, right? Head of PR. And Glazers will be limited in what's leaked, which also affect the players' leaks. What are you saying about this, Anil? Are you frozen? Are you there? We lost him? Anyway, I think Anil is frozen. Anyway. So regarding that, Nigel Flynn, well, Neil Blanc was always going to come in because of the calamity what Richard Arnold did. He was fired because of numerous other underperforming issues. And I think that Anil was just frozen, I think. Anil, come back, please, sir. And what else do we have here? Okay. Anil just disappeared. He got technical issues. He's got frozen. But listen, at the end of the day, we got to provide two sides of the story. And you guys have to sort of read between the lines what is your truth, what is fictional, what is factual. And we were just explaining how editorials work. They're all doing it for the money. They are aggregators, not only original sources. You hear from a source from another source, and they all originates, according to my opinion, from Sky News and Mark Kleinman, that everyone seems to be co-tweeting or co-reporting on, and XYZ. I keep myself very, very cool and composed here. And I know that's an enormous business sense that you're coming to the end of review, that bidders are waiting for some feedback, and there's been numerous reports regarding that as well. But big up to you, Gas Taylor. We lost Anil, but we got to also start looking at the other side of the camp, because what is a respected journalist and what is somebody that people call ITKs, or somebody that has connections. And I'm going to play a clip from the well-criticized Brown and Munee show that I was caught the other day, where they call it the end game. So they're pretty much saying the same side, but on Sheik Jassim's side. So let's bring that into the
space with Abu Saad on the weekend on Saturday, and thank you for everybody listening, and especially Abu Saad as well. Thank you for coming on. Can we just give a recap of that, because I think even you probably, Ted, you would like to know about it, but I think some of our listeners who didn't get the chance to listen, can you try and summarize what was said on that space?
Yeah, so from what I've heard.
So this Abu Saad is a Saudi Arabian well-connected guy in the Middle East. He knows 90 Holding Foundation. I've been sitting listening on this space, and it's quite credible what they are saying. So always have an open mind what other people are saying.
Abu Saad side as well. Abu Saad, again, he's from Saudi. He's got a few
came onto this podcast.
Saudi, and yeah. And he's got a few people in Qatar as well. What he's been told, and I think people have started noticing it as well, is that for the past 10 days there's been meetings in London with Class A shares and 92 Foundation.
So this is quite interesting. We say for the past 10 days there's been meetings discussing about the Class A shareholders, and the same story you hear about ineos. They also feel confident that they have something ongoing. So my question here to you guys as well, is that the Glazers or the Rainy Group, they're playing both sides of this story?
Also with Glazers and stuff. And there's been sort of more or less a breakthrough. It is probably the end game in the next. For me, I think it's going to be before December. That's my prediction.
We're in December, bro.
But yeah,
we're in December, bro.
Yeah, the end of the month, basically. Sorry. But yeah, it's basically on the last legs now. Between 9-2 and the Glazers, the Rain Group as well. And from what I got told a few days ago was that there's been much more of a verbal agreement. They've got to go to the Premier League now and get that done, and that's about it.
So that's all verbal agreements. What's going on here? One side is claiming this, the other side is claiming that. They all feel confident. They have verbal agreement. They're all buying up, Class A shares, Class B shares, and that made me think a little bit now. And just like, is it Rain Group that's playing still the game? Because at the end of the day, it looks like a high-stake billionaires poker game, like a Squid Games.
Squid Games, Mick. Honestly, it's always very difficult, isn't it, to go through being totally serious. But come on, we've got to have a laugh now and then, haven't we? And that was
true.
That is pretty good. I'll give you that.
But it's my duty to report both sides of the story.
Exactly. But that's the thing, though. But it's funny that you say that, Mick, because people actually say that there's always three sides to the story, isn't there? One side, the other side, and then the truth. So it's we don't know quite where we end up in this kind of thing, do we? But
a few good men. Jack Nicholson. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. That's the Glazers' point. You can't handle the truth.
Exactly that. That. But I think, look, it's just honestly. So obviously, like I said, people are just relaying the information that they're being told, and now that's obviously going to sort of contradict other people's information, because people have different sources across the world, and some people may have brilliant sources in this country, but not so great sources in other countries, and vice versa. So look, I think, as much as we want to sort of get a definitive answer.
Oh, did he freeze again? Or is it just me? Are you there? I don't know what happened to Anil. Maybe it's my end. He kind of froze again. But Mark, are you there? My producer. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mick.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, he's froze for a second. I think
frozen.
he'll be back shortly. right?
He'll be back shortly. So basically, what we're saying, Mark, here is unfortunately some technical difficulties. Three sides of the story, right? So,
100%.
I certainly believe that in over to the fat lady things, and so far nobody's been announced. Nobody's been, everyone is confident. Some people saying this 92 holding is out. Some people saying he's not, and they don't need PR. They've just been quite comfortable in what they're doing. So, if you have put a bid on the table, which is reaching 8 billion or whatever that might be, we don't even know the figures. But you don't need to do PR, right?
Yeah, you don't think so. If your bid is the only bid in its class, basically the only bid that's contributing for full sale, then why would you compete with a percentage? It doesn't even stand in the same bracket with your bid, if you understand what I'm saying. You're basically competing against yourself in that regard. So
100%.
that's kind of difficult.
Yep. Sorry, Anil, try to come in again. He's having some issues. But anyway, we're going to talk about a football game that's happening tonight as well. And that's what I want to talk about, Anil, as well. People in the chat, let us know your thoughts and feelings. At the end of the day, the truth is yours. We've just been debating among sides, like making sense of certain things. And, even you got to ask the hard questions, right? At the end of the day, you should find out by the club statement or something, right? And the day must come soon because we need to move forward as a club and as a fan base as well. And that's about it. And Anil is still trying to connect for some reason, cannot come in. Mark, talk to me about this game tonight. What's your thoughts and feelings?
It's a tough one to call tonight. Chelsea's been a young team. They've been in form. It's tough to say whether we're going to beat them or not based on the performance of the last game. The players didn't really show up. If you could talk about where we were a team in form. That display the other night against Newcastle does not signal a team in form. It doesn't signal a team united, So I would hope for a united victory, but it's going to be a tough one.
Now, big up Jeff Steele for just gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, Jeff Steele, so much. People that got gifted a membership from Jeff Steele, give him a massive thanks. I see to try to understand who was gifted the membership. Can you give us a indication who was gifted a membership? Oh, yes, here we go. Karim Kadari was gifted a membership. Roydon Frost was gifted a membership. Sam Samboy, Ande Moore, and Merks was given a membership. So big up to Jeff Steele. Give him a massive thanks in the shout and welcome to the membership family, guys, as well. If you want to become a member, just hit the join button. If you want to subscribe to this channel, it's free. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. And we seems to have lost Anil Kandola, unfortunately, for some technical issues. Anyway, I think a lot of people are so tired of this takeover talk. And I'm tired of this Sky News reporting this week, next week, and maybe next week and stuff like that. So just wanted to make sense. And even Anil was saying that this doesn't really add up either. Like, if you read between the lines, Mark.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing how everyone could just be like, so confident about a 25% bid that they have no actual confirming evidence for. And every week there's a new delay, there's a new twist, there's a new extension, a new problem, a new issue. It's lawyers, it's the Glazers, it's Jim, it's this one. It's so easy for them to discredit the Qatari bid because there's silence. But
the thing is, I'm questioning about, as a fan, you've been protesting, you wanted these Glazers out for 18 years, or whoever's been involved in this protest, and all of a sudden, I see people are turning and say, well, it ain't that bad. We get a new sporting director, we need a new CEO, but that is kind of divide and conquer. That is Glazers doing a Houdini act again to say, look, we give you this new shiny toy, look that way while we continue robbing you, right? And this is the Glazonomics, book 1-on-1, so people wake up and smell the coffee. And I've been saying that if you're going to a restaurant and you're going to order steak, right, you order a T-bone steak, You know, it doesn't really make sense why, you know, you got to order 100% of that steak and eat 100%, but, you know, why would you just have 25% of that steak, you know? Are you going to be satisfied? And what is it to say that the Glazers at the end of the day are going to let you have the 100% of that steak to the bone? Anyway, we just have to wait and see, right? Thank you, Anil Kandola. Sorry we lost you, but thank you for coming in and providing your input. I believe that tonight we will see some form of rotation. I hope Ten Hag learned who to trust from the Saturday's game. And will Rashford be dropped? Will he be starting? I believe he will be dropped. Will we beat Chelsea? I believe we will beat Chelsea. What is your score prediction, Mark?
I'm going for 2-0.
2-0?
Because I think there's going to be a
clean sheet.
A clean sheet, because I think there's going to be the defense wasn't that terrible. I think there's going to be the defenders, I think, will surely be the ones to have a quicker bounce back. And we have a decent attack. I think they've shown they could score goals recently. They scored 3 goals back-to-back in 2 games, regardless of the result against Newcastle. We had some chances, and I think we're going to fight. We're at home. The home fans are going to be behind the team, so I'm going to say 2-0. That's my reason.
I hope so. I hope so. And I did a morning vlog this morning. If you haven't missed it, it's quite unique. I driving around here in Thailand. I went to the barber, and he was a Manchester United fan. In broken English, he gave a what did he say? 3-0 to United, and I said, yeah, I got 3-1 United. So check it out. It was just released 2 hours ago. It's a vlog from Thailand, Phuket as well. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. You know, I'm riding around on my scooter and, you know, having fun and talking to some random people. And I had a fresh cut, close cut, as you can see. But listen, guys, tune into the watch along later on. Thank you, Anil Kandola, if you hear us. Thank you, people, for tuning in. Thank you for all the super chats. Stay patient, people. Stay beautiful. Don't let the headlines fool you. Always scrutinize. Always ask the hard questions, and always think fresh. At the end of the day, it's Glazers out, full sail only. Bankers out. Stay beautiful. Glazers out. Thank you, Mark, as well, for moderating and for keeping this chat alive. This is all, folks. See you later for the watch along and the post-match reaction show. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.
Cheers.